Hey guys, thank you for coming. I've been slammed this weekend, as you can tell, so this is going to be a little bit improvised, but this is my appreciation for you guys coming to the event, so any questions you have, we'll get to that. I just came out of the coolest thing ever, actually. I was at an AEW production meeting with like the whole staff, and just, you know, this whole wrestling crossover has been crazy, you know, but just learning so much behind the scenes and how much work goes into those things, similar to what it goes into, you know, running the conventions and everything, so. It's been a crazy day for me. I'm on a lot of pre-workout, no thanks to Kenny Omega. That's been getting me through my, you know, mornings and nights, but I just want to say thank you for coming, of course. A couple questions I have for you guys. Who came to the very first CEO in 2010? There's one guy, thank you, yeah, thank you. That's not a gloat, that's an appreciate, two, there we go. Rick wasn't even there, thanks Rick. Oh, what's your call? Now, whose first year is it this time? So thank you. What do you guys think so far?
I love it.
Awesome. Glad to hear. So whether it's your first year or your last year, thank you. You know, it's been crazy to think about 10 years ago when I started this. It really was, a lot of thought went into it, but the only thought I had was nobody else is running tournaments. How can I win more money by competing in my own tournaments? So that's kind of how, you know, CEO started, coming from the arcade days, and I just wanted to host events with my friends and have a good time. And back then, I knew nothing about really hosting a large-scale event. The first CEO we did was put together with 3 weeks of planning after another event had canceled itself that I was kind of helping with, but I wasn't really, my name wasn't on it or anything, and really nobody knew me at the time. And, you know, just the event got canceled. It was in my city. I was like, we can't do this. We got to come up with something. And really, at the time, I had no financial meaning of running an event. Never knew what it was like to find hotel rooms for your guests and stuff. And we just, within 3 weeks, scrounged around and found a, we call it the Hot Box. It was a 10,000 square foot like exhibit hall at a fairgrounds where the AC broke, and this was the beginning of June. So it was a very rough time, and literally, if you saw the exhibit hall, how amazing it looks today, thanks to, you know, the growth. 10 years ago was literally 16 Xbox 360s on a wall. It was just Street Fighter 4, Blaze Blue, and Tekken 6, and like 3 arcade cabinets, literally just 3 arcade cabinets that one guy had personally owned, and that was it in this hall. You know, we had folding tables, chairs, all that stuff, and there's a picture. I really wish I had the time to prepare a slideshow for you guys to show you, but one of my favorite pictures was a just jank projector I had bought that was shooting up on a very dim wall with like 6 people watching it. And that's all, it was just the most faint image of, it was like Flash Metroid and somebody else with Sea Viper on the screen with a victory. And that was, you know, kind of the first, you know, thing that I always remember looking back at that. And the prizes, you know, we do these gold championship belts now. The prizes last year were these tiny trophies. And then I went online and I ordered the world's most purest salt called Himalayan salt. And I gave that to the second place winner. Just because, you know, they've been salty about the loss. So I was always a jokester, if you know me. I like to have fun with what I do. And that event, you know, people helped me with the Xboxes, the monitors we had to borrow from each person. I kind of ran that whole, it was like a 125-man bracket for Street Fighter. Now we have over 3,000 unique competitors, you know? And when I did that, I ran the whole bracket myself with like 2 people. I was calling out the names. JT, who does the music for our entrances on the gaming side, who's running registration. He, you know, did the streaming. We had 1,000 viewers then. This was the very first event. This is before the FGC started to come into its own with streaming. And now, you know, between like Combo Breaker, CEO, we're getting millions of unique views watching these streams. So that event was just to have fun and put something together. And at the end of it, my buddy Orlando Suber's not here, but Chris Allen's here, who helped put together the soundtrack you've been hearing all weekend. So thank you, Chris. It's hot to fire. No, Orlando was there with me as I remember closing the door, the shutter to this thing, and I'm like, you know what, man, maybe we can do this every year and grow it into something. And 2 other memories I have of that first event was, at that time I was actually like always placing top 3 in Street Fighter 4 with my Balrog, and I was really good. I was going to EVO, I was going to final rounds, I was going all to the events, and I lost to 2 people. First of which was Sir Honor. I don't think he's here with his brother. And right before my match, somebody actually stole my iPhone off the TO table. So I lost my phone. I remember going at like 8 in the morning Sunday to go get another phone. Because me without my phone, you know, it's like a chicken without its head. Like, I need that thing around me at all times. And as soon as he beat me, everyone was like, what the hell? And this is like in like the second or third round, and it was Abel. Abel was like my crutch at the time with Ultra 2 after Super had just come out. And lost to him, and I was actually at first like, you gotta be kidding me, but like, I gotta get back to running the event. Him and his friends were like partying off in a corner, I beat Jebailey, yay! You know, like going nuts. The second match was another Abel, Ian, a kid who doesn't even really compete anymore. And this is the first and last time those guys had ever beat me in a tournament. And after Ian had won, there's literally footage of him calling his mom on his phone, like, hey, I just beat Jebailey at a tournament, and everyone just laughing. I'm like, have your moment. And what was cool about that was seeing somebody actually be happy to beat a competitive player and see all his friends get excited. And me kind of losing is kind of like in wrestling, right, where you're building up your opponent and putting them over. And in a way, it was indirectly putting these kids over, and that's where I learned it's just so much fun to get new eyes, and ever since then, my convention's always about bringing new faces and combining worlds like we're doing. And it seems to be working out pretty good so far. So, we knocked out that first event. I was doing locals actually for like 2 years at like Hooters restaurants, bars, all that, with like maybe 30 to 50 entrants. Very small scale. And those tournaments I was winning, I was taking that money from the prize pool to buy Xboxes, buy monitors, and that's kind of how CO was built. Not a lot of people, or a lot of people come up to me. I get emails every week. Hey, we love what you do as CEO, how you've grown it. We want to do a first event, we want it to be huge. And once I hear we want our first event to be huge, it like doesn't work like that in this industry. You got to build it from nothing. And it was just a lot of slow building, and not many people know a lot of those setups were mine from winning the tournaments, putting it back into it. And I remember I used to, like, when I would win a tournament, like, remember guys, when Jebailey wins, you all win, to give back. And so that was the first year at this fairgrounds. Wasn't supposed to happen. The second year, which was 2011, was the Wyndham Orlando Resort International Drive. Who's been to one of those events at the Wyndham? Great venue in the middle of everything. They're actually adding 2 more lanes to that highway where you cross over, that road where you cross over to like Perkins and the world's biggest McDonald's. It's gonna be nice when it's probably done in like 2030. And they're actually building a skywalk to help you cross the street over everything. So it's gonna look really nice when it's all finally done. But I had no inkling of how to talk to a hotel to get a ballroom, like absolutely none. And there's an anime festival, Orlando, AFO, who's heard of that one, that's been around for like 20 years now. I knew the people in charge, Karen, Eric, right? Yep. Eric, and then Buck. Buck is the guy who owns Retro Game Treasure. They send you it's like a loot box, but for old cartridge games. It's actually pretty cool. And I reached out to him like, hey, do you know anybody at the Wyndham? I'm kind of thinking about reaching out to a hotel. And he goes, yeah, let me connect you to Lisa something. To get talk about. So I went in there with went in there 7 months before I wanted to put this on the following June. The first year was 3 weeks. I had 7 months, like, what can I do with this? And I didn't finish that part. When Orlando and I were seeing the garage come down, like, hey, we're gonna make it bigger and better. So I went to the Wyndham, I sat down with Lisa, and I'm like, hey, I want to do a gaming convention. And at the time, they were still growing. It was mostly either anime conventions or Spooky Mayhem, which is like a horror convention in that area. And I told her, like, I want to, do this. What do I need to know? What's this contract mean? How many, you mean if I don't fill up these hotel rooms, I pay $100 myself for each room? And she was super helpful because she told me, she's like, at the end of the conversation, she's like, you know what? I have a lot of people coming lately. Like, we want to do these gaming events, but we never see it working. Or they don't, they won't follow through or something. She's like, I saw the passion in your eyes that you want to do this. So she gave me a bare bones, like, I only had to fill up 300 room nights. This is insider TO knowledge. Like, when you do a hotel, it's not about how many rooms, it's how many room nights. So if one person stays in a room for 4 nights, that's 4. A lot of these contracts require at least 1,000 or so. I'm proud to say that the first Wyndham year, when she's like, you have to fill up 300 room nights, I was scared because a week before the event, we were still short of that number. And that wouldn't have crippled me, but I would have been down like 10 grand in the hole. And we hit that number like 2 days before the event. I was like, oh, got past that hurdle, and that was the biggest hurdle. And when people ask me, how do I do a big event? The first thing I say is, once you sign that contract for that venue, you figure out your dates, the rest just falls into place. And we had filled it up. We had about 900 people that year. This is 2011, so the big games there were Street Fighter 4 and Marvel 3. God rest their souls. That was when 2011 was the first year I had international travel from Tokido and Gamerby when they were on that traveling circus team. And they had come out to the event. Tokido ended up winning Street Fighter and Marvel because of Phoenix. And Mike Ross had come, he had got third place with the Honda at a time where Arcade Edition had just come out, so everybody's switching to like Yin and Yang, and even with all the Yin and Yangs, Flo was there. You know, the top three ended up being, you know, Tokido, Arturo, and then Mike Ross, which is really cool because they fought through all those Yins and Yangs that were top tier at the time. But that event was great because we had a nice hotel, a lot of the actual travel, and how I really got that event off the ground was I became friends with Justin Wong and Gutex and Mike Ross through Cross Counter. And instead of me trying to pay top players to come promote the event, I went to the best marketing team at the time with Cross Counter, like, hey, promote this event, and that, you know, kind of got it off the ground. And then 2011 happened, it was a huge success, and I was like, you know, this venue, we can grow into it. Every time I sign a venue, I always think about how I can grow into it, not, oh shit, I already filled it up, let me find something else. So I always think 4 or 5 years at a time when I do what I do. And we, you know, barely scratched the surface, and there's pictures floating around of 2011 where that room is literally like 2 rows of people. Now, the last time we had it at the Wyndham was all the way to the back. We have to get rid of setups, we have the 3 screens hung. And little things like that was my goal every year. So 2011 happened, it was run another great tournament. Don't count the money, don't count count the hotel rooms, otherwise I'm screwed. But, you know, and the hotel rooms kept going up and counting all of that. And it kind of, you know, gradually grew. And so after 2011, I was like, all right, 2012, I want to get Daigo here. You know, Daigo doesn't go to many events at the time. He was the #1 player in the world. I ended up getting Daigo to come out. Then the next year was like adding, and that was the first year we did the wrestling ring in 2012, where I looked at an AV company. I'm like, hey, how much for stage and lighting and all? Like, here's $10,000. That's what it costs you. I'm like, let me go to Google. How to rent a wrestling ring. And I had found highspots.com, if you guys have heard of it. It was like $1,500 for a wrestling ring. I'm like, let me do that. Let me get a couple spotlights, and that's it. And boom, that's where the whole wrestling themes and all that. And at the time, I wouldn't say it was half-assed. It was just gradually building up with the production and then letting the players use their personalities. So K-Brad entrance, his Stone Cold entrance, is probably the first CEO entrance that really went viral. My personal favorite was the Dominion entrance. Does anybody remember that against Bonchan? And I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second, but so it was just gradually entertaining and telling the players to have fun. I would say about 80% of the players do their own entrances and figure it out with their team, or Chris Seglia from Tenno, Rick from Combo Breakers actually helped me with some of these entrances as well. And just to kind of showcase, and I figured it'd be fun, it'd be different rather than going, all right, next up, sit down in the chair, play, you know? And it kind of grew from there. And then, was Dominion 2013 or 14? Do you remember, Rick? 13. So 2012 happened, Daigo came, he had a wonderful time. One of the best memories, actually 2012 is some of my personal best friends' favorite year because that was when Daigo came. That's when James Chen was second place in a Super Turbo tournament. And Daigo goes to sit down, James Chen's comes down, and Daigo just goes, what, you? Like that, pointing at him, laughing that he had made it that far. You remember that, right? So 2012 happened, 2013 had happened. And we did the Dominion entrance where it was literally like me was the one coordinating, sneaking him in, covering him to get in the ring. Chris Seglia was the one in the back turning off the lights. Rick was helping with like the music. And we did that entrance, and when you go back and look at it, the lights could have turned off a little faster, or come back on a little faster, but the crowd went nuts. I remember seeing the chat going nuts, you know, seeing people make fun of me for, you know, putting it all in the black and dark. And it blew up, but as soon as that was done and they were about to play the match, our crowd was laughing for literally like 10 minutes straight. We just could not stop laughing about it. And that's kind of the cornerstone. And I'm actually forgetting when Yipes did a Goldberg entrance against Flocker. That's actually probably the first one to really begin the cool pictures of the crowd. So that whole wrestling stuff, it was fun, right? It was never about getting a wrestling ring to wrestle in, it was just about entertaining people. And then 2014 happened, 2015, and just the cool parts was, another thing about my growth was sponsorships, right? The first year I had nobody. The second year I had like NOS Energy Drink, which was a subsidiary of Coca-Cola. And they were giving me like $500 a month to sponsor my name as I was growing, plus free product to give away. And you know, now you look 10 years later, freaking, we had to get the biggest size badge ever at an event. I'm like, Rick's like, how many logos you got? I'm like, what? So Rick is like, we gotta add another inch. I'm like, do it. So, you know, it's really awesome. And a lot of people that always ask me for advice, how do you get sponsors? Well, first you have to have something to show them. It took 2-3 years before I got a real sponsorship for my event. And then it's just building relationships. One of the qualities that I believe I have and people tell me is my ability to network and connect worlds. And becoming friends with Kenny is why a lot of you are coming here for the first time. And just building those sponsorships, and a lot of them come back year after year. A lot of new ones come into the fold. And now my goal is to bring more vendors and sponsors into the event, because those are the real live interactions and not so much, hey, watch our stream and buy this product at home. And I think that's what engages people. Like, how many of you bought those Wild Bills custom cups already? Anyone? Oh, here's one. There's one. Rick even bought one. I had some free for staff, dude. Anyways, Rick's got one, so that was really cool. I think they had to sell them because they sold out. But little things like that engage, and that's the best advice I can give people, is you gotta connect with the viewers and all that. And we have stuff like GamerGoo now, the racing chairs, all that. AEW even set up a booth for today, and the meet and greets will happen tomorrow, which is cool. So just gradually growing into the Pro Tours was kind of the next goal. I said to myself in 2013, I'm like, we need to get more opportunities for our players to show off what Florida's talented with. And now you look at CJ Truth, one of my first proteges. I taught him Street Fighter. He started traveling and playing and everything. He made top 32 at EVO 2 years in a row. Knuckle Dew started coming to these CO locals. And I remember I used to destroy him, and he'd always be just learning, and now I can't even touch him. And he won Capcom Cup one year, right? So these kids got good because they went to their locals and they supported and they learned, and then they also left their cities to travel and take chances. And that's the only way you really grow, is by taking those chances if you want to be a competitive player. Now, doing this so many years with Rick and hosting these events, there's something for everyone that you have to kind of have at your event. So we want to have these Pro Tours, which now I think CO for 2 years in a row has the most Pro Tour developed, supported events between Capcom Pro Tour, Tekken World Tour, Mortal Kombat, which support all the big events like the Combo Breakers, the EVOs, and all the new growing events. And then I still get the Dead or Alive, giving that an opportunity because I want players to have opportunities. So it was just networking and growing and understanding what players wanted, what spectators wanted at an event, the interactions and everything, and it just, just continues to grow, right? So on that history of that early growth, I kind of came into the fold of the gaming industry I ended up working at Iron Galaxy for 2 years. I was the PR and community manager for Killer Instinct and a few indie games they had published. And that was a dream. They put me in Dive Kick through Keats from the before Combo Breaker UFGT events, and putting me into a video game character, and sort of a humble brag, but I think one of the pinnacles of my just being oh my god, I do this for a living, was I got the opportunity to get flown to Japan for my first time in 2014 to show off Dive Kick, which was being published by Square Enix. And a lot of people don't know, and I didn't know this until I went there. Square Enix in Japan publishes Call of Duty, it publishes all the huge American games. They do that over there. I didn't know that. So they invited me to play Dive Kick with kids, and they'd win plushies if they beat me on the stage. So I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. I've played almost every one to completion. And to be up there in front of 500 Japanese people watching me play Dive Kick was just, I was like, wow, this is what I'm gonna do for a living. This is incredible. And then that's where Iron Galaxy gave me a lot of opportunities to travel the world. I left them to go to a startup esports company because I kind of wanted to help build. That failed after 6 months. If anybody remembers Avid coming soon, does anybody remember that? No? Good. Shut up, Gareth. Anyways, so that kind of got me into the industry, and now I work for DreamHack full-time. Who's ever been to a DreamHack? Okay, one guy, 2, 3, yep. So I also, not just only do I do CEO Taco, all that, I'm a full-time employee for DreamHack, which is a Swedish-based, they started off as a LAN event, PCs in Sweden, and Jönköping is how you say it. It's in the middle of nowhere. I do fighting games for them. So they hired me to basically bring fighting games into the esports fold, and they let me do it my way, which is great. I hire my own staff, I take care of it, and when they set up these DreamHack events, when you see these esports stages, we're setting these up with only 24 hours of time. They go an entire weekend to build these massive CSGO, Counter-Strike Go stages, and they had a Rocket League where the winner actually won a full-size tire rim. I don't know how he got that home, but to do that, and then the FGC is I have my smaller stage, and every time during Thursday, my bosses will come up I don't even have to ask you, your stage is already set up, they walk away, you know? So they let me do my thing, which is great. They let me use their money to give out prize money, not my own budget, thank God. And it's kind of grown from there. So now I have this opportunity to just run events year round. And in the process, I've learned to trust other people, which was also a building block to what I do. I used to try to do everything myself. This year is probably the most relaxed I've ever been. I'm kind of nervous about my wrestling match. Who's watching tomorrow night? So, yeah. So not so nervous, just hope my leg doesn't give it out on me, but I've worked very hard to come back from an Achilles heel injury, which they say 50% of people they walk, but they never run again or try to push. But honestly, on another outside of this moment, like because of everyone supporting me, posting my ankle updates and all that, like those ankle updates get me more likes than most of my other meme posts. And just to see people support that's what kind of inspired me to keep doing what I do. Hanging out with Kenny Omega, he's been staying with me for a week, and just don't be around him after a pre-workout. It's the worst. You know, so just going through that, and now just being able to trust people is what took a while to get to this point, and now I trust people to run the show. I haven't touched a single bracket this year. I used to run all the brackets. So it's a really good feeling to learn, you know, to trust people. Actually, I'm gonna pull out my phone for 2 reasons, see what time it is, and show you guys how many notifications I probably have as we speak. 7:20, oh, perfect. Look at that, this is like since I've sat down, so let's see. I'm good, thank you. Can I get a volunteer shirt? I missed my pool, can I get a refund? Nope. The emails I get are crazy, but obviously we give refunds here, just not when the event starts, sorry. So it's constant. I actually still manage all not the social media, I have a team now for that. They're doing incredible with the video and all that, but I used to do all that. And the one takeaway I've learned from that is learn to trust people and give them actual assignments. If somebody doesn't know what they're doing, you're just like, here, go take care of it, they won't know what to do. But if you give people little things, they'll feel better about it, they'll do it, they'll feel in control, and it works out perfectly, and that's how we're here now. And I've told my whole staff after 2 p.m. tomorrow, don't freaking bother me, because I'll be helping out with the wrestling stuff and making sure that all goes well for my match and just the whole show. You know, so it's been a crazy journey to go from running one tournament, a couple tournaments a year, to now what I do now, right? I'm running more tournaments than anybody on a bigger scale in the FGC, and just working with so many different people, tours from all over the world. I think this weekend had over 42 countries represented for the gaming side, and 45 states. We always have problems with like Montana, North Dakota, like, screw those guys. Or even Hawaii. Actually, we had somebody from Hawaii, but just to see people coming from all over the world, such an incredible feeling. I have a lot of people come up to me and ask me for handshakes or pictures, and like, this is my first time in an American event from Australia or New Zealand or France, and such an incredible feeling to see them meet everyone that loves their passion, right? So through that's pretty much the history of like how CEO was, what it is now, just getting started. Like, I'm stuck with you guys for at least another 5 years of contracts. Won't say where, we're all, all that stuff that comes as it goes. But it's just crazy to see the growth and how we've gotten to this point, and it's thanks to all of you, of course, for being here, and everyone attending and stuff. But it's just crazy because I was such a douche back in the early days. If I find old forum posts of me, I was such a cocky little bastard, it would blow your mind. So luckily nothing will get me canceled. I didn't go over the top that much, but it's been a learning process to understand how diverse we are and what's going on, in this world. And this is our weekend to get together, have a good time, and build from that. Would you guys like to hear kind of the history on the Kenny Omega side and how the wrestling came to be? Yes! Okay, cool. I tried to get them in here, but they're filming stuff for tomorrow's show. So those are my special guests. Sorry for the false advertisement. But yeah, you never know. We still got half an hour. So one moment. I'm so sorry. I have to work. And we're back. So Kenny Omega, right? Very interesting story how that happened. A couple years ago, I discovered his wrestling, but I actually didn't really think much of it. I saw gifs of him doing, beating up the doll, doing the Zangief pile driver, the 7-year-old girl, seeing how entertaining he is and how he protected the girl. And I've been a huge wrestling fan since I was 4 years old. Watched all the time, used to jump off my nightstand onto like a Ted DiBiase teddy bear, stuff like that. I was kind of a crazy, I wouldn't say badass, I'm definitely no Moxley or Joey Janela, but I used to jump from a lot of high places. I used to jump on top of cars to have people drive with me in the Middle East and Lebanon because they wouldn't let me in as a prank. I'm like, screw this, jump on the sunroof, they go 100 kilometers an hour. So I always had that little bit of a daredevil in me, but I was just always a huge wrestling fan watching, and I never really watched indies, to be honest with you. I was always that WWE guy, WCW Monday Night Wars guy, following everything about that. I never really paid attention to the Ring of Honors of the world or the TNAs and all that. When they signed the new star, I'd go watch one match and then move back to WWE. And New Japan, I would never really watched until meeting Kenny Omega and just connecting with him. And I think it was through Gutex and Mike Ross or Cross Counter. They had an episode with him. And like, hey, connect me with Kenny. We'll see if we get him at the CEO. And I connected with Kenny, and right away it was like, boom, friendship. And it was like, Kenny, I love all the entertaining things you do. I know you're a fighting game fan. He's like, I love the CEO wrestling aspect. I really, let's be a part of this. So he had an open schedule. It was just pure luck to have that open schedule. This is 2016. I think we chatted about, the event was in June. We started chatting about April, I think. In 2016, correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, was that when he filmed I'm Coming to CEO, or was it the second year? Yeah, it was the first year. He was at Winter Stays On, a UK-based Capcom event, and we connected. He's like, I have an open schedule, let me come check out this event. And he came out to the event, and I do what I do. I come from a Middle Eastern background. We like to be good hosts and take care of people. It runs in my family. My brother does charity events. My other sister is a personal trainer in Dubai. And we're good with people. We grew this up by learning how to treat people with respect through our parents, which is a great asset to have. And Kenny had come over. I treated him just as a friend, when he came out, and he told me, I just want to come out. I don't want to be the celebrity that does meet and greets. I just want to hang out with you guys in the FGC. And he just became one of us. And he had come over, our first meal, we went out to Ale House, got chicken Caesar salads. And my God, man, don't hang out with that guy because he's healthy food, which is good. But it's we can't order pizza or anything. He's like, all right, I'm hungry. Let's go to a 24-hour Ale House or something. But taking care of him, super awesome guy. Not many of you might know this. I was actually born in Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia. He's from Winnipeg, the very opposite side of Canada. We had met. He came over, took care of him for a couple days before the event. And the event, he just let him go off on his own. He played fighting games. That was at a time when he was actually spending whatever free time he had playing Street Fighter 4 and competing. And he's actually really good. In 5, we go back and forth, depends which character I pick, even though I'm rusty. He's got a natural talent at anything this guy touches, right? He's one of the best human beings I've ever worked with in the world. And he just learns, he's very patient. My God, you guys have seen his storytelling in matches. He can be very patient when it comes to fighting games and wait out and bait out a move. I've learned that a lot about playing recently. We didn't play as much 4 as we have 5. But, just connecting through video games. It wasn't the wrestling side that connected, it was the fighting game side. And that's when we did the whole me dressed up as John Cena, coming out just to get the super kick and have a good time with that. But that's really all we wanted to do, is just have fun and not think about a wrestling event. So we remained friends, and 2016 happened. It was a huge crossover. If anybody remembers, that's when Xavier Woods snuck in as a surprise. We coordinated that about a month before that happened. And Xavier's like, it depends on my schedule, right? WWE is crazy schedule, 300 days a year, something like that. They're traveling. And he's like, hey, I have a house show in Merritt Island, or somewhere 45 minutes away from the CEO venue. I can make it. And Kenny's like, he can make it. I'm like, can he make it? So he made it. But it was a total surprise, actually. And at the time, Kenny was New Japan. There wasn't any of those AEW, WWE wars that you see on Twitter. My God. You have no idea how tempted I am after a match to go, and that's real wrestling, Seth Rollins, and tag him, just to see the internet blow up or something. Who the hell's this guy? Because I can handle the beef. So, one moment. So, Xavier Woods, we had to sneak him in. That was a total sneak in. He came in, I got him, he stayed in my hotel room, snuck him in there, and that's when we snuck him in, and that's when people started noticing Xavier Woods walking through the back doors with me, and then one person tweeted out, and then I had the first tweet saying, guess who's here, and they played their exhibition match. And it was crazy. The crowd loved it. Who was there for that in person at the window? What did you guys think? That was pretty entertaining, right? So the only problem with that was there was 2 other tournaments going on at the same time, and the crowd literally like turned to them, which made me feel bad for Killer Instinct at the time. And certain people don't let me live that down. Thanks, Rick. Anyways, but that had happened, and like that was actually the birth of Jebailey face. You guys have seen that stupid face, right? Yeah. Who's thrown out their coins already? Anyway, who kept the coins? You like the coin? You never got, son of a bitch. Go back and get one. Anyways, worth more than Bitcoin, I'm sure. So he had come out, they did that, it went viral, like almost 1 million views on Capcom Fighters, and they had such a good time with it. They had a great time. That's also when we filmed the skit in my hotel room of Leva Bates, Kenny Omega getting fed the grapes and stuff, and Xavier haunting him and stuff. And that's actually kind of how Leva Bates is now in AEW, through that meeting with Kenny, and Kenny loving hanging out with her as a person and seeing her talent to entertain. And now she, that network connection is Leva, Wrestling Tomorrow on the buy-in. And Leva, again, was also a fan of gaming and just came out. And when I say this, I mean like these weren't celebrities going, I'm too busy, 10 grand or I don't show up. Like these are people that want to be a part of it. And that's who I want a part of my events, because it doesn't cost me much money. Anyways, so, that happened, it went viral, everybody had a good time. That's when I learned I can't act, I need to stop doing that crap. And just, it built from there. Then the second year, Xavier was able to sneak back. Kenny, again, as soon as Kenny came to that event, because of you guys and the people around him that didn't, people asked him for pictures, and he's cool with that walking around when he's not busy. But like, he just had such a good time. He wrote in his New Japan contract from there on out, CEO week is his vacation. Unless there's some like title match or something, he's at CEO no matter what. And that shows you how amazing of a person that is, right? You can't get that out of a lot of stars. So for him to do that and be like, hey, next year it's a go, like I knew a year out he was coming back, right? And now 4 years together, working together. And they did an exhibition in Tekken in my hotel room. It was very impromptu. And that also went very entertainingly, and they had a good time. And that's kind of where CO started getting noticed by wrestling companies. Paul Heyman actually used to follow me on Twitter, and his agency like hit me up like, hey, we see you as an entrepreneur, probably to see if they can make money off me, right? Entrepreneur that asked me a bunch of questions, and that's when I kind of got into the back of, behind the scenes type thing, and get connected to that wrestling world. So that was a really cool experience. And again, none of that would have happened if it wasn't for Kenny being a part of the FGC. And nothing really came from that. And then I told Kenny, I signed last year's Daytona contract 2 years before it happened last year. And as soon as I had signed it, I told Kenny, hey, I have this new venue, it's in Daytona Beach, there's an arena. What can we do with an arena? He's like, I have an idea. And that's honestly right away, we were on the same page. Hey, this is our chance to have the gaming side and bring in an actual wrestling show to it. And that's where he connected me with New Japan Pro Wrestling at the time, which he was fully about. AEW didn't exist, any of that stuff. And that's when I kind of like started earning that respect level as a promoter. People were calling me a promoter in the wrestling world. And that was an awesome experience. I'll tell you, working with New Japan was easy because Kenny was kind of calling the shots, and he made my life very easy. But I did everything. I flew in the performers, I took care of hotel, catering, all that, and it was a smaller show. Chris Seglia's team produced that show. We did it all ourselves, basically. New Japan, I loved working with them. It was very easy to do. The show was a success on all fronts, in my opinion, financially. And that's when I kind of learned, but it was all on my shoulders, that whole thing. This year, AEW is pretty much taking over, and it's the best damn thing for me in my life and my team. So you guys get to enjoy a better 100% full-on wrestling show experience to see that side. New Japan performers, they had the time of their lives, by the way. They really enjoyed being in front of new faces, the gamers. And when I was in that production meeting, Kenny at the end's like, guys, remember, these are a lot of new faces checking you out. Let's have fun with it and get them on board, because obviously you guys are seeing all these comparisons now, right? With old WCW, is it going to beat out WWE? And AEW is the hot ticket, right? So we did the New Japan show, had a great time with it. It was pretty much all on us to run the show. And that's, when we're like, all right, let's do it again next year. And at the time, I kind of knew what was going on, but it wasn't until February or January when AEW was officially announced. I'm like, hey, are we going to do another show? He's like, don't worry, man, I got you. Kenny, he's just like, I got you, man, don't worry about it. And as soon as it came together, he literally, when he signed AEW, hey, CEO week is my vacation week to have a good time, but let's do a show. And the timing just ended up working out. They've got Fight for Fallen in 2 weeks after this. It was a great chance. Just here's one really cool number you guys don't know. The market for wrestling in Florida is really bad. A lot of people don't go shows anymore. And I don't think it's an oversaturation of NXT shows or WWE and stuff. It's kind of died out since the 90s for Florida. This show in there is already officially like the biggest show since like Bash at the Beach for Wrestling World. So there's going to be last year's numbers. Don't let this leak out, but last year was about 2,500 with everyone, including staff and stuff. This year we're already double that. Not double that. We're about over 4,300 seats tomorrow. So it's going to be an amazing show, and that's where we kind of learning the AEW side and how they run it and connecting with people. And behind the scenes, I've been helping out with hotel rooms, getting people in, dates and all that stuff. And it's just been such a different but better experience overall for my psyche and stuff to do this and not stress as much. And again, this would not be possible if it wasn't for Kenny Omega going, guys, we're doing this damn show, whether you like it or not. And Tony Khan being like, hey, let's support them. And now look what we've done. It's their second show. They're on fire. I was fortunate to be backstage at Double or Nothing and really learn how these shows were put on and understand them and work with and learn from like Keith Mitchell, if that name pops up. He did the Bash at the Beach show in the Serena 20 years ago. And now he's one of their head producers of the staging and all that. So it's just been crazy to think about the fact that I went from running these little tournaments to full-size wrestling shows as a part of the convention, and I don't think it's going to stop. It's only going to get bigger from here. And it's crazy to just think about that, and it wouldn't happen without the support of people. A lot of people shooting down some ideas I have and keeping me grounded at the same time, but a lot of people honestly telling me, you can't do that, that's not going to happen, and it's happening, right? So I've learned a lot of just, when you're crazy enough and you want to do something, nothing's going to get in your way. Don't let anybody stop you. Now, if you need a lot of money and you can't do it, then you're screwed. But it's just been great to see, and there's a lot of people that are coming to Fyter Fest tomorrow that have never been to a gaming event, and a lot of people going to that show that have never been to a wrestling show. So it's our chance to have a good time, and the Bucks, all those guys, talking to them, doing the BTE episodes, they're super freaking excited to be here tomorrow. Like, you guys have no idea. They're really looking forward to the show. Out of all the matches besides mine, which again, I'm probably gonna die, the Joey and Moxley show, you guys it's gonna be freaking crazy. I saw the prop list, that's all I'm gonna say. And then the tag team match, you're gonna love the entrances for that with the Lucha Bros and Laredo Kid. And just, it's such a great show from New Japan. The problem with New Japan last year was there was 2 other shows that night. Ring of Honor was the same time, and New Japan had a show the next day, so I didn't get the Okadas and the other names. They split up everybody, right? This year, to have the best of the best already with AEW performing for you guys, it wasn't an easy feat, it happened, but they're super excited. So definitely cheer them on, have a good time with that. But that's, pretty much the 10 years of CEO, and I do this full time now, and I still love it. It's still an exciting experience. I've learned how to ignore the social media trolls and just focus on the people paying their hard-earned money to come here, And so you learn a lot being in charge of stuff. I can't go crazy on Twitter anymore because I'll lose a sponsor or two. So it's a very different world we live in. Back then, like I said, it was easy for me to say crap. But you don't need to, right? Staying positive is what gets you through doing these things and having that support system. So we got about 15 minutes. Orlando Suber, thanks for the shout out. Where is he? Is he watching this? Anyways, okay. So, hold on, my brother, excited for tomorrow. I need an extra ticket. Don't stress, deep breathe, deep breath, yada yada. Internet went down in one of the streams. Like, this is my life. What are some, I'll go off the cusp for a second. I get emails every day. So many crazy emails for these events. Most I've learned from unsuspecting people that have never been to one, so they need to know, right? They need the knowledge, but there's just some really weird refund requests or stuff like that. I can't even think of them right now, there's so many, but I'll take a moment now, since we have about 15 minutes. Do you guys want to do a quick Q&A and ask me some questions? Anyone? Perfect. Give me 1 second to drink water. I don't think you need a mic, it's good in here. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much the 10-year history I wanted to talk about. And again, thank you for being here. I hope you're enjoying it. Hopefully I have my voice for my promo tomorrow. I always lose my voices by Thursday at these events screaming, but now that my staff is on top of everything, I don't have to scream at anyone. So it's been an amazing feeling. But yeah, if you just want to ask a question, raise your hand. I'll point to you, stand up, and I will answer said question. 1 second.
Oh, perfect.
There we go, Ken. You are doing a damn good job. Give it up for Ken for running the panels. The guy with his hand up. I used to actually not want to kind of do panels because I couldn't find anybody to step it up, right? I don't like to add stuff unless someone steps up. Ken has been stepping up for the last 2 years, so thank you, Ken. And then, yeah, he stepped up so well, I spent more budget to get him like a big screen and stuff. You're welcome. No. Go ahead, sir. Your name, where you're from.
Sure. Deji from New York. Been trying to do this crazy little MTC thing. I want to thank you personally because I've been, for the past couple of years, I've been trying to do this whole tournament thing myself in my school and in my local scene in Long Island. So I want to thank you for that, first of all. Also, I want to thank you for putting CEO in Daytona. Last year was my first time and I had the time of my life with my best friend and stuff like that. So God bless you. Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you. What was the question?
Damn it.
Great question.
I don't remember. Get back to me.
If it's about how to run tournaments, why don't you shoot me an email on Tuesday and I'll give you all the advice you need.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
What's your email, Alex?
$20 an hour.
All right.
CEOgaming@gmail.com. It all goes to me, and I've learned a valuable lesson this year. Create multiple emails from registration staff, because I keep just forwarding off my emails now to people. But I also like to be the face of what I do. I actually really enjoy that. I like to be in charge and responsible. I don't want to blame anybody but myself if something happens at my event, so that's kind of why I do what I do.
Hi, Alex. My name is Steve. I'm actually the host for Pro Wrestling Trivia Center, 3 p.m., panel room 1.
What a plug.
Jesus, I would have done the same thing.
Well, I want to say thank you for inviting me for the second year. Everybody enjoyed it last year, and everybody enjoyed the 2K tournament last year, and hope to do it again in future events. But my question is, where did the idea to integrate community panels come from? When do you think this would be a good idea, starting with integrating panels last year at Daytona?
Ken, would you like to answer that question?
So Alex came up to me at a Proto-Man concert and told me his plans to expand CEO to be a bigger event, a Supreme Fighting convention, and I was looking for Anime Festival Orlando at the time, doing the same job, and I was like, hey, you want to work for my show and run panels? I'm like, let me think about it. Then AFO pissed me off. I'm like, all right, Alex, I'm all in.
Hey, tell him how AFO never paid you, but I did.
I don't want to talk about payment. Alex didn't offer me money when I accepted. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. And then he's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to pay him. I'm like, all right, that's cool. It helps fund my events. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you. Next question. Anybody else? I won't feel offended if you don't ask questions. Don't worry, I got shit on my mind.
I'm Alex, I'm from Orlando. I just had a quick question. What did you think about content in the fighting game community outside of big events? Did you feel like there was something that maybe streamers or YouTubers could focus on more? Or was there like a gap that you felt like compared to, I don't know, other competitive gaming scenes that felt like the content creation scene for the FGC isn't quite up to that level? Do you feel like there's anything obvious that you maybe see that isn't getting done?
One obvious thing not many people put on their minds, I do because I think about everything. This year alone, besides, we'll get to the content question, but like New Japan only promoted our show last year like twice. AEW has done more promotion for CEO Gaming than even gaming companies have done this year. It has been insane, the amount of promotion they've done. And I've been very closely connected to Jeff Jones, the social media guy, getting me the images and, you know, putting them up as soon as I get them and tweeting them. Just the amount of content they've done for Fighter Fest. They haven't really promoted the CEO part, but they don't need to, right? Everyone coming to CEO is going to come to CEO. Everyone coming to the wrestling event now knows that CEO is there. So what they've done has been just incredible marketing. The Fighter Fest Fire Festival riff. It's kind of a Tony Khan, Kenny Omega brainchild. You guys are gonna love some of the pre-taping stuff they do. The arena's sick, that's all I'm gonna say. It's a huge upgrade from last year, right? Like, I didn't know how to put on a wrestling show, I know how to put on entrances and lights, but I'm very impressed. So, content-wise, that's been amazing. A lot of FGC, we do have the popular streamers, the Flows, you know, Justin Wong's on. A lot of them just travel too much and they don't stick to solely streaming, except like an Eris who's really good at it now. Maximilian, right? It's a lot of freaking hard work. I have a Twitch channel with 60,000 followers. If I can stream once a month, I'm lucky, right? So it's really a lot of dedication to your time management, being different with your content, right? If you're just sitting there in front of a camera playing games, nobody's really gonna watch unless you're really entertaining as a singular person. But if you're entertaining, give it time, people are gonna start to follow you. But FGC in comparison to, I'll give an example, right? So FGC streamer, Maximilian, what's the biggest following in Twitch for a streamer? Rick, that isn't a tournament? Is it Eris now? Like 100,000 followers? Like, what do you think?
It's definitely Eris.
Like, on Twitch, like a follower count. Okay, exactly. So comparing Ninja or Dr. Disrespect to like an FGC guy, I think just still a lot of games are, I wouldn't say more accessible, they're just played by way more people than fighting games, right? A lot of people play casual fighting games and stuff, and they'll go watch pre-made coverage videos of how to play, all that stuff. But shooting games are just, God, it's such a hard question to answer, honestly. It's different. The games are bigger in other industries in terms of just casual play. Anybody can pick up Fortnite, play it on their phones, all that stuff. Fighting games, you need to be dedicated, play on a pad, all that stuff. So I just think what they could do differently is obviously spend more time streaming, cutting up videos to get people into the scene and play. There's just so many great games, fighting games. Like, I think we have over 30 tournaments this weekend. It's just a lot of content, but it's hard for somebody who's never been to an event to follow. It's like, what game do I like? I don't know, there's so many, So focusing on one thing goes well for these other streamers, like Ninja started with Fortnite, that's all he did. They started other shooting games and stuff, so it's just the dedication I think that puts into it, and the video editing and multiple platforms, the YouTubes and all that. A lot of FGC people are just Twitch. Maximilian, I think, is the only one that really takes advantage of YouTube. I kind of started the JePodcast, I'm sorry. I just got so busy with the travel, Me and Kenny will probably do one after the show, so that'll be my next episode. But, it's time management. A lot of people don't have that, it's so hard. That's probably the worst answer ever, but I tried.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Any other questions for me?
Before you, Tim, I'm going to ask you a question. Where did the idea come to integrate music in the CEO to the point of adding albums?
That's a great question. What's the first year we did? Hold on. Before I offend my buddy, my producer. Did we do an album before we did the OC Remix album? Or no, we didn't?
We have been bothering you for years about it, and you just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Eventually,
They're horrible with deadlines. I'm just going to leave it at that. Here we go. Watch this.
first of all,
Freestyle right now.
no, we ain't gonna do this.
You're late and you're full of hate and you're... No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, to make a long story short, we have been talking about it for years prior to. It's just Jebailey is the type of person that when he sees someone that he thinks is important do it, then he's like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. It started, I think, with your Big Money song. What's the name? Real Big. Yeah, there you go. So after the OG remix thing, we did the Real Big song, and so afterwards it went over so well that we decided it made a lot of sense to continue. In the last 2 years, we went from doing songs that may have been sampled or something towards like a lot of the things that you would hear in video games, and to doing original music that we could actually integrate with CEO. So I hope that answers questions.
I mean, yeah, I love music. I'm a huge music guy. I actually used to DJ back in college. I did weddings, house parties, stuff like that. And I still have like a terabyte of music on my iTunes, which is now obsolete, so I got to start streaming everything, but I'm old school. In my world, like when a lot of people present ideas to me, you have to put it in writing, and you have to let me know that you're confident enough to do it, that I don't have to think about it and stress about it. And these guys have handled it, and I think this is the 4th year of doing an album, and it gets better every year in the production side of it, where this, officially, we actually had to backlog music, but like, I have CEO now on iTunes, Spotify, all that, so it's such a crazy feeling, and to have all these talented artists come together, it's just great to have that and kind of expand into everything, music, live action, gaming and all that. I appreciate every kind of industry, and I keep learning, so. Next question. Yes, Gareth, God damn it. Yeah, I'm kidding.
I'm just wondering where can I hear this music?
I just said it, Spotify and Bandcamp.
Is it available here anywhere?
Oh yeah, you can buy digital download codes at the Gaming Generations booth all weekend. Thank you. It's like a $2 discounted code.
There are also physical copies of last year and the year before's albums. That
Because
are
they were
also
late with a deadline and couldn't get the album printed this year.
Boo, boo. You can't throw that on me.
So, but Megaran, yeah, here's two things. Megaran made my song this year. Chris Allen and Orlando helped with the remix because wasn't their fault. AEW's like, we need your song now, so we had to finish with Megaran's cut. Megaran also made a freaking fire Fighter Fest theme for the show. Pay attention to that show and the lyrics. I think it's a great song. Or if you want to listen to it for free, I'll be right outside after this panel. So yeah, go ahead.
By the way, tomorrow, Saturday, in the next room over, or actually in this room, the Music of CEO with IQ, Megaran, O Super. So if you want to hear more about that process, come in here for that. But you had a question. You've been waiting for like 5 minutes.
Hi, name's Cameron. I go to school down here, but I'm originally from Atlanta. I had a question. So I'm thinking about I'm actually preparing to start my own podcast, and I was basically asking, do you know any real rules of thumb of how you were really good at making connections, or just like getting your podcast out there?
So I have the JePodcast. I think we're at like 10 episodes. I've just been so busy. Anchor.fm. Use that program. It's incredible. It makes it easy. It uploads it to every platform, all that. And then just do it. Try to connect with people and say, hey, be a guest on my show. Start with your friends first because it'll be natural to talk to them and talk about what you enjoy and have fun with that. Try not to be offensive. It's getting, people just get offended at everything now. But just do that and then you'll build a following if you're consistent. But look up Anchor.fm. Very impressed with their platforms. Just make it easy to go to iTunes and all that. And then for music, like the album, I didn't know what distrokid.com was until this weekend, where you use that program, pay them like $20 a year, and they put it on all the different platforms for you. And talk about what you enjoy. Don't try to force it. People know when you're authentic. I hate to say that runs in the wrestling world. Just have fun with it, and then you'll build from there. And then try to talk to a friend that or somebody you meet, like, hey, do a podcast. I would love to have you on and talk. And a lot of busy people, the secret to getting in with busy people is like, this is only going to take 10 minutes of your time and you're back to your life. That kind of thing. So always be direct and upfront with what you want to do, and it'll happen.
Question for this man right here.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Did you pay me for your booth yet?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
I paid you this,
What?
I paid you this morning.
Oh, right, yeah, continue.
I'm Charles, Black King 643, top 8, Def Jam. Thank you for putting top 8.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting us top 8.
So funny story. Me and Rick are like looking at the schedule, like, hey, why is your stream on CO end at 8 p.m.? Like, I don't know. Let's see if we can put Marvel on just to pay our Fs. Video team is saying there's a check ceremony at the end of the event. Be there. God dang it. Anyways, I kind of want to give Def Jam. Honestly, it might not have the biggest turnout, but what you guys do and that passion to come and bring out, and you bring some unique players from all over. I'm like, this is their chance to shine. And then they're like, can we get the arena? I'm like, don't push it. Just an opportunity to show. So one little thing, right, is Capcom vs. SNK 2 is probably my favorite fighting game of all time on a competitive level. If it wasn't for me discovering the arcade machine and a Wackadoos, which is like the UCF college bar, I used to have like 60 win streaks there and like skip a class because I had too much pride to get off the machine. Or people were like, stop playing him, you can't beat him, let him beat the computer. And as soon as like the end credits come, like, doink, another coin in the machine. I'm like, you gotta beat me to get me off the machine. But if it wasn't for that game, actually, we wouldn't be here right now, honest to God. And then I played Mortal Kombat 2, Street Fighter in the early days. But Capcom vs. SNK 2 just kind of invigorated me and connecting with people. And the thing I'm getting to is like with old games, people still love them. It's just really hard to engage people to go out and buy a PS2 to play competitively or no online. So as a tournament organizer, the key to success is be progressive and be ready to host the new games and appreciate every game. Like the one best advice I can give to a TO or tournament organizer is like, if you're gonna host a game, play it for an hour. Do not host a game you've never played before. I guarantee you every arcade machine in there, I've played that game at least once. And I actually played DDR earlier and everyone was freaking out. I'm sorry?
Guinness.
Yeah. So, another story, my nickname used to be Guinness because January 28th, 2002, I broke the Guinness World Record for DDR and played it for 13 hours straight. 8 hours of which was on heavy mode. I don't know how the F I did it. And I weigh about 245 right now. I was 175 when I did that. So not a lot of weight to carry. Yeah.
I never, thank you, but I never got to ask my question.
Oh.
But,
Oh, panel's over. We gotta go.
thank you for all the wrestling that we get, but one of my favorite things was Fighter Mania.
Oh yeah, so gosh, that was 2013. We had Seth Mussie, who is an Emmy award-winning commercial maker. He does the Evo intro videos and stuff. He's too busy to do my stuff anymore, but we made Fighter Mania, which was like wrestling promos with rock music of like Jebailey versus Mike Ross or Jebailey versus Markman, loser gets their head shaved, stuff like that. And we had the players cut promos. Some of them were horrible, some of them were entertaining. It was a lot of fun, but that's kind of what led into this whole aesthetic of everything we're doing. So thanks for bringing that back up. But I thought Fighter Mania was a great name, you know, bounce off of WrestleMania, worked in the fighting game world. But then obviously, new company, we gotta, you know.
And the Royal Rumble.
In the Royal Rumble, we used to do Royal Rumbles, 30 players for like Street Fighter or Tekken. One player wins and moves on, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Bring back the Rumble in the cage.
Yeah, well, the cage is there. Red Bull does that. The Rumble, I have plans in a future event. So yeah. Yeah, I know it was a lot of fun. Just we got so much content now, man. It'd be so hard to do that. So, any last questions?
Last question from Dayasha.
I know too many people. Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Dayasha. I'm your Street Fighter MC. Hi. First and foremost, I don't think I've ever said it, but thank you for letting me be your MC. I think this is the sixth year in a row? Fifth or sixth? Something like that. So I appreciate that.
No problem.
Second, my actual question is, in keeping with the theme of like wrestling and gaming, what's your thoughts on like having like an actual gamer who's training to wrestle another gamer in your event?
So two wrestlers wrestling each other. You know, somebody asked me that question.
Like pro gamers, like people that are actually like gamers.
I mean, I'm doing it, right? I saw you in the same training ring a couple weeks ago. I took bumps way better.
We were in the same ring.
Let's not talk. Anyways, we thought about that, right? Like, who could do? You're obviously physical. You know, anybody can be physical. You just got to put the time and dedication into it, whether you're a gamer or you're not. You know, and there's, you know, thinking about like Yipes could be physical. I'm sure a big body wrestler, stuff like that. Mike Ross, I think, would be great. You physically, you don't really win anymore. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Would you stop, Jesus? But yeah, I mean, it would be cool. I just don't want to risk anybody's health and deal with the liability. Like, if I hurt myself, I'll just go get the surgery, whatever. Thanks, DreamHack, for covering that. Yeah, I think it'd be cool, right, to do more physical stuff with the gamers, but I'll be honest with you, I didn't get the insurance liability for this until AEW sent me over some paperwork on Thursday. We almost didn't have a convention. So a lot of miscommunications, we got that fixed, thank God. But yeah, there's a lot more goes into it, right? Like there's actually chair shot coordinators now. If an event doesn't have that, somebody can't take a chair shot. So I know how to take a chair shot. So yeah, it's been crazy. But any last questions? I think this is the end of it. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Lewis from Winter Haven. Just a very quick question. From last year, what was your favorite top 8 entrance?
Favorite top 8 entrance. I liked Infiltrations. It was great. Val Venus. That was a good one. The Smash players did good. Most of them brought a shit ton of entourages on stage. I mean, that always looks cool. The Dragon Ball. I'm sorry. Knuckle Dude was good with the money and the chair shot. Shoot, we didn't have a coordinator. I could get sued. The Dragon Ball Z one where Kazunoko did the Yamcha, and we did the overhead shot. That idea was Chris Seglay's to get that awesome camera. It's called a PTZ, point something zoom, and that was hilarious. And a lot of those entrances, I was in a wheelchair last year, if you guys remember. I didn't have anything to do with the entrance at all because I couldn't even get in there. Obviously, if you saw my match, I had a hard time getting on the ramp. That was a flub. I was supposed to, but somebody unplugged the ADA accessible wheelchair ramp, the elevator, and I had to improvise that entrance. Like, you gotta be shitting me. The mic's like here. Like, Chris, what the you know? And do that. So I improvised the best I could. I was on a lot of painkillers because of my foot. I should not have done what I did last year, but somehow I did it. I actually don't remember anything from that match except bright lights, honest to God. So for me to get through that and lift a guy twice on a bad leg and then get the surgery a couple of days later was awesome. But one of the best things about that was I hope people were entertained by that. I don't belong in a ring, but if it was 10 years ago, I definitely think I would do a great job. A lot of my trainers that I've worked with, like, dude, you're picking this up really fast and you're 36 years old. So if I could go back in time, I would love to do it on a better scale, not probably full time, but but hopefully tomorrow, I'm not 100%, but I can move around, I can run the ropes. I hope I impress people is all I'm gonna say and have fun with it. I'm sorry? And don't die, yeah. I can't wait for you guys to I already know it's going, like, please don't die, yeah. So, it's just been awesome. But yeah, that Dragon Ball entrance is probably my favorite from what I remember. And the best memory of last year, besides putting on that event and getting told thank you and looking back through social media and seeing so many pictures of people taking selfies with me, I'm just like this in the wheelchair, I'm like just like dead, I need sleep. Was Kenny staying with me a few days after until my surgery when he went back home and just playing games in my room. I couldn't walk. Literally, the only time I watched was for that match on painkillers. Probably made it worse. But and it's funny too, because when I got the surgery, did the surgery, I was knocked out. I didn't get to see the doctor. 2 weeks later, when I went to take off the initial bandages, and my God, muscle atrophy is a thing. Like my ankle went from my calf went from like that to like that, and I was like, what the? It looked the size of my forearm compared to my other leg, and I've always, because of DDR, I've always had, thick with 3 C's. So I'm hip, I'm with it. No. But for Kenny to hang out with me before that surgery, and we played like Mario Tennis, and he was bodying me. He's actually a naturally good gamer, and I don't want to be competitive because when you beat Kenny, he starts screaming and throwing shit all over the house. But the 2 weeks later, after I went back to get the bandages off, the doctor comes in to check on me. He's like, I read the newspaper article about you wrestling, and I go, I operated on that idiot. So for doing that, but it didn't do worse, and I'm almost back to 100%. But I'm excited. I've learned some new things. Have fun with it. Brian Pillman Jr., huge gamer. When I met him at Double or Nothing, he still texts me every day. Hey, what do you think of this game? I'm like, dude, it's not even out yet. Stop asking me. But he's like, Alex, just have fun with it and connect with the audience and don't die. So I've learned a lot about what goes into wrestling, Kenny Omega's diet, the best wrestler in the world. We went to the gym 4 days in a row, and I have her sister's personal trainer. I did CrossFit, so I know a lot about physical, working out and stuff. The workouts this guy does are freaking insane. They're not long, they're not crazy, but I was doing stuff like a open weight bench, right? But at each one, you're on the bench like this. And after you lift it, you get up like that and hold it and then go back in the chair. Like all these ab workouts lifting, I'm like, what the hell is this shit? And it hurt, but now I actually love it. I'm inspired. We're hopefully going to get a couple more workouts in. But it's awesome to become friends with somebody like that teaches you something you never knew. But that's why he is the best at what he does, man. He thinks outside the box. He does things you don't see on any apps or anything. And it's crazy. And so there's that one, entrances. Yeah.
All right, you got a big match tomorrow with Michael Nakazawa. Do you have any words for him?
Just be ready, and we'll see. I'm gonna have fun with it. Is there any moves you guys want me to not do? Or any favorite weapons?
Rock bottom!
Yeah, I got better than that.
You can do a dive kick?
Huh?
You can do the dive kick?
We'll see. It's gonna be a good match, guys. Here's a little insider. They gave me 15 minutes. What the fudge? I'm like, 15? It's like, don't worry, it'll go fast. I'm like, no, get me out of there. But they made me a badass video wall. I'm kind of excited, so I'm gonna enjoy it. I might get pyro. Did you guys hear that loud boom earlier? No. In the arena? So Jebailey did, and I got like 2 tweets or says was there a gunshot? I'm like, Jesus. So that's where I made the tweet, guys, it's a pyro test. This is the first time there's been pyro at a show in a very long time, so I'm excited for it. For the main show, I'm on the buy-in, but hey, the buy-in gets more viewers, right, on YouTube. Another preview. I really appreciate your guys' support. I hope you enjoy it. Be there on the 3rd match of the buy-in, which is still an honor to do it. And I tell Kenny, do these guys really trust me not to mess up? He's like, you'll be fine, dude, shut up. So I'm excited, but enjoy the show tomorrow. It's really exciting. It feels good. I'm sad that after my match, I'll probably be in the hospital, so I won't get to enjoy it in the crowd. But you know, just have fun. If you haven't said hi to somebody you want to play games with, just sit down and play games with them. Have you guys been in Jebailey land? What do you think this year? Yeah, that cost me a lot of money. Enjoy. But I'm a huge arcade nut, so that's why I want you guys to enjoy that. So again, I could talk all night, but I need my voice for tomorrow's show. Thank you so much for coming. You know, enjoy. Have a good time the rest of the weekend. Thank you, Ken, for hosting these. If my footage didn't get recorded, that's fine. So yeah, thank you guys. And again, I hope to see you tomorrow at the show.
Give it up one more time for Alex Jebailey.